Hustle culture has become a norm in some workspaces, but what happens when it comes at the cost of your health? The World Health Organization says people who work 55 hours or more in a week have a 35% higher risk of a stroke and a 17% higher risk of dying from heart disease than people who work a standard 40 hours. So career expert Angela Champ is here to tell us more about hustle culture, how it's affecting us in our workspaces. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you start off by giving some examples of what hustle culture will look like in the workplace?
Sure. Hustle culture is a mindset that prioritizes work above everything else, including mental and physical health. And what it looks like is employees are always on. They're working long hours, including evenings and weekends. They have unrealistic timelines and deadlines for the work. And the employees are sacrificing family time, time with their hobbies, and even sleep in order to get the work done.
I feel like expectations have changed, and people have probably seen this on their social media as well. How much of hustle culture and that mindset is generational? So, for example, do you think a Gen Z employee would approach hustle culture differently than a Gen X or a millennial?
You do see it across all generations. However, what I've noticed in the workplace is that Gen Z tends to have a lot more boundaries. They'll say, no, thank you. I don't want to work 55 hours a day or a week. I don't want to work long hours into the evening. I have plans for the weekend, or I'm going to take a day off to go skiing. They tend to have better boundaries. Unless you're the employer and you're thinking, that's not better boundaries, but they tend to put that in place more than an older generation might.
And just really quickly, in terms of the amount of work that you're doing within, let's say you are still working an 8-hour day, does that look different generationally, like multitasking versus single task?
Definitely. So it's different whether you're in the office or in remote as well, what the expectations are. But in the office, you might be working, but you might not be sitting at your desk for 8 hours a day. You might go grab a cup of coffee, you might go for a cigarette break. And so there are breaks built in during the day, whereas it is a little bit different depending on whether you're working remote or in the office.
Here's a question for you. How do you tell the difference between being busy at work and then having too much on your plate?
Yes, so sometimes you're at a very busy period in your workplace. Let's say you're an accountant and it's year-end.
Tax season.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or you're working on a project that has a finite start and a finite end. If you know that there's going to be an end to it because year-end will eventually close or the project's going to come to an end, that's just being busy for a period. But look around you. If you're always busy, if it's always overwork and there's never a break, that's how you know you're in a hustle culture environment.
How does hustle culture then impact people who work remotely? Is it different?
I think it is different. So if we're working in person and I haven't seen you for a while, I might say, has anybody seen Anne-Marie? And they'll say, yeah, she's in the kitchen, might go and find you there. But when you're working remotely, there's usually a light. Green means you're at your computer. Red means you're in a meeting. Yellow means you've been away from your computer. And managers will look and say, hey, you know what? Why is Angela on yellow so long? Like, what is she doing? Is she not working? And so it creates some suspicion about whether you're actually working and being productive.
And then with that suspicion will come questions, and then an employee will feel questions, and it can have sort of this negative impact on your work relationship. If you find yourself in an environment where you're expected to overwork, what do you say to draw boundaries around that?
Have an honest conversation with your boss. Lay out all of your priorities and your tasks, and talk to them about what is really important to that boss or to the organization and focus on those. Can you delegate anything? Can you drop anything? Sometimes people do work because you've always done it. You've always sent that report on the Monday morning, but maybe it's not needed. See if you can delegate, see if you can get extra help. And at the year end, you're going to be measured for something, whether you're successful. They have goals, you might have personal goals. Focus on what your goals are, what the organization's goals are, and then see if you can leave the rest aside.
It's fascinating to take a look at this and our evolving workspace and work culture. Angela, always good to have you in. Thank you. All right. Well, if you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.